day long, poor Hans had been seeking his fortune on the hard road that was to lead him far away from home. Now the sun glowed blood red and trickled behind the distant hills. The boy shivered, for the way ahead was disappearing into the last gleams of twilight. Then, as if by magic, something or someone stepped out of the shadows. Hans gasped, at first in fear, and then in wonder. Before him stood a gentleman, so richly dressed that Hans would have taken him for a king, if it had not been for his tall, pointed hat. It was as black as night, and stars and moons sparkled on it. Beneath the hat, the gentleman's eyes sparkled too. He smiled down at the boy and introduced himself. This was Spellbinder, the sorcerer, in person.
It so happens that I am out searching for an apprentice, he chuckled.
And you are just what I had in mind. Hans could hardly believe his eyes, his ears, or his luck as he followed Spellbinder down a winding path away from the hard road. Suddenly, the sorcerer stopped.
A silly question, I know, my boy, he said, but can you read and write?
Hans nodded eagerly, but Spellbinder's smile froze. Too bad, he sighed, and vanished into the darkness. The boy's quick wits gave him another chance. Read and write, he called out. I thought you said eat and fight. Reading and writing are a mystery to me. Congratulations, cried the sorcerer as he reappeared before the boy. Hans was hired again, on the spot. From there, it was only a hop, a skip, and a bridge to the moving steps that carried them up, to Spellbinder's magnificent castle, just below the clouds. The heavy front door seemed to open by itself, but once he was inside, Hans saw a servant girl pushing on the handle. Her name was Greta, and though she was ragged and dusty, she was very pretty. What a comfort you are to me, my dear, cooed the sorcerer, and he apologized for any extra work that his apprentice might make for her. But the girl ignored the kind words, and she would not even look at Hans. Oh, well, the boy thought, I have better things to think about than a stupid girl. And in no time at all, Hans could think of nothing else but his work. Such was the demand for magic in the world that Spellbinder needed all the help he could get. And the boy gave it willingly. strange work it was. While Spellbinder clapped his hands and called out orders, Hans ran hither and thither around his master's laboratory. He found weird ingredients. He ground up exotic herbs and berries. He stirred evil-smelling potions. And he fed the greedy fire underneath the huge copper cauldron. There was another task also, almost too gruesome to mention, taking out the garbage. On the evening of the following day, Spellbinder called a halt. He dipped his wand into the cauldron and put on his sparkling hat.
Time I was gone, he said. I must not keep my customers waiting.
Sleep well, my boy. We have much to do tomorrow. And under the cloak of night, the sorcerer set forth from the castle, whistling and swinging his wand. Hans did sleep well, so well that the dawn and Spellbinder woke him all too soon. Still he mumbled to himself, I am learning my trade. One day I will be Hans, the sorcerer, and I will have an apprentice of my own. Sunrises chase sunsets around the castle, and as the seasons passed by, they stopped to pay their respects to Spellbinder. With the boy's help, he was fast becoming the most powerful sorcerer in the world. Hans longed to see Spellbinder casting his spells, but his master kept delaying him.
Sometime soon, my boy, he promised.
Yet somehow it never seemed to be the right time. So Hans planned to follow him secretly. One night, he waited until only the sparkles from the sorcerer's hat could be seen in the distance. Then he ran to Greta and begged her to unlock the front door. But no sooner had Hans stepped outside than the giant stone cats that stood guard there turned on him with flaming eyes and roared like dragons. And Greta spoke to him for the first time. Poor Hans, she said, don't you see? We are spellbound here by Spellbinder. The girl had never had the heart to tell him before, and now she sat on the steps and wept. And Hans wondered, was there no hope for their future?